Welcome back to the Better Days Rain podcast. I'm your boy, Sean Daniel. And in the studio today, got good friend Mike. And Mike, I think we got a show today that is really tailor made for you to be on it. Like, I finally found one that's like, all right, now we can actually get Mike involved in the recovery scene. Because there's something I believe really heavy in, right? We always hyper focus recovery efforts towards drug addiction.
Yeah.
Right? Really, when you really boil recovery down, it's personal responsibility. Learning,
100%.
you lost control of your life, and you're learning how to get that control back, right? In aspects of life.
Oh, yeah.
And so it takes a lot of learning, personal development, and personal responsibility. And then taking that same sense of personal responsibility and then putting it in your community.
Right. Well, the hardest part of personal development, right? So personal responsibility is taking accountability for your own actions.
Correct.
But part of that becomes personal development because you have to break those cycles and break those chains that find out what the trauma was, the triggers. You have to deal with those. And we get to a point where even in recovery, those things will come back up. We've talked about this before. And that's the hard part. And that's where personal development and personal responsibility really come into play, because no one can break those triggers for you but you. And nobody can overcome those challenges of your own self but you. And so that is the hardest part, is looking in the mirror every day and going, I'm not going to repeat that bad behavior.
Whatever that cycle is.
Right, whatever that cycle is. And then I'm going to do this, right? You give yourself a new goal and new mission to say, I'm going to do this, right? So like I've started and failed 75 hard a bunch of times, but I've completed it once. And the things that I got out of that taught me where I waste my time every day,
right?
Where I needed to work on me. So you have to come up with a challenge or a goal for yourself that moves that needle forward. And a lot of people think, oh, well, I've got to completely change all of these other things in my life when they get in recovery. The thing is, you just got to change 1% every day, get 1% better.
Oh yeah, you're not going to change everything. Like, it's not no quick fix.
No.
Type deal. Now I do believe like there are those in recovery and there are those who need recovery, right? But that doesn't mean there are people in addiction and those who are in addiction and not admitting to it. Like, literally, like, when you look at our community, even here in Texas or the U.S., like, we really need to go into a sense of recovery. Whether you're drug addicted, a crappy human being, you know what
dude,
I mean?
But just the everyday little things like...
But it's the people not willing to take those personal development steps and those personal responsibility steps that hinders that mindset.
Right. So there's a really popular saying on the internet right now, and it has been for the last few years. How you do one thing is how you do everything. So if I go to Walmart or Target or whatever, and I get a cart and I fill it full of stuff, and I just empty it in my car and I leave it in the parking lot, you're a crappy human being. And I say that because if you do that, but I'm using this as an example, right? Because it's a simple example of how lazy and how we lack personal responsibility. Yes, there's a kid that's paid to come get those carts, but from the cart corral. So if I'm willing to just litter the parking lot with carts, what does that really say about me? I mean, it's a simple example, but if you think it's very profound, because you have a choice. I just spent all this time putting my crap in my car. Now I got to walk 30 feet. You're afraid to walk 30 feet?
After you done cleared the whole grocery store 3 or 4 times.
And so it's that personal responsibility. Our studio right now is in mid-remodel for the 80th time, because that's what studios do, right? We have different sets for different people, and we're building new infrastructure, but it's a mess. And the next time you come in, it may not be a mess, or the mess is going to look different.
The mess will definitely look different.
But the ultimate goal is still the same. I want a pristine, clean room where I can come in. And again, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if one thing 75 Hard taught me was that discipline to read 10 pages a day. And so when I'm not doing 75 Hard, guess what I still do? I'll pick up a book and read. I'll read for a while. I may not read 10 pages. I may read 50. But then there may be one day where I have just enough time. I read 2 or 3. The idea is that I'm making improvements in myself and I'm finding ways to make myself better that are going to impact guys like you, right? I need to be an example for you, and I'm not perfect. I still screw up and don't get things accomplished that I want, but you have to win the day in a different way.
So one of the questions I have, right? So I think if you just kind of look at how our culture is, right? People can't teach what people don't know.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. So a lot of times we tend to put that off on people being lazy. But if I was never taught certain things in my life,
you don't know.
Like, I'm not going to put it down.
Well, we talked about that. How much you missed of certain ways of interacting with other people that you missed because you were drug addicted. And now that you're in recovery, you get to learn those aspects, but you have to have somebody willing to teach you those aspects.
Right. So my question is, and you see this a lot with parents, right? Parents say, well, I don't think school should be doing this. I want them to do this. Or I don't like the way my community looks like this. My city leaders need to do this, right? And they don't take any of that accountability on themselves, right? And I've kind of been looking at this and going like, why is it like you're putting all your faith into something else, but like you ain't taking no steps? And is it because they just simply don't know because maybe their parents didn't teach them? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or is it just absent thought?
Well,
but you know what I'm saying? So like one way or another, like kids aren't learning.
Well,
the new generations aren't learning.
And it's a combination of multiple factors, right? You have all politics is downstream of culture.
Right.
So if your culture, let's look at the hip hop culture.
It's like every time you scream help, new law's coming.
Right. So if and you mentioned this on your show a week or so ago with Sammy, and I was the one. I'm grateful that I taught you this, and now you understand why you don't care about politics, but politics always cares about you because it cares about feeding its machine.
Right.
Right. So our education system is broken. The teachers are good people, but they're hogtied in what they can do. And you do have bad teachers, but that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about parents' own responsibility for raising their kids. And somewhere in the 70s, that kind of broke down because the government created an education system that says now we're going to, and even now we do standardized testing, which doesn't work.
Right.
Like you cannot teach 5 different kids the same way.
No, you can't.
Especially when you incorporate special needs kids, different things like that. But parents ultimately should be the ones determining what their kids do and don't do from an educational standpoint. And that means I need to be able to teach my kids that, hey, vaping isn't really good for you, but you still have free will to make that choice. Right. I'm going to tell you why I think you shouldn't and give them examples of, me being a smoker for years, me being addicted to nicotine in a lot of different forms. They can see that and go, oh, hey, maybe that's not really it's not as cool as people make it out to be because then I'm going to have all these other problems. So but that's me teaching my kids.
Right. So my next question is, in today's age, right, because it's something you really don't see, right? We have recovery programs, we have schools, we have, higher education, we have all these things, but like you don't see places actually teaching what personal responsibility looks like and what personal development looks like. And I've kind of hit a phase where I'm like, bro, like we need teachers.
Well, think about what we don't
teach. We need somebody, it seems real basic and it seems like something you should know as you grow, learn as you grow. But like we've hit a point to where, we've gotten real kids. Stupid,
This phone is raising more kids than parents are raising kids.
Right.
But if you think about what we don't teach kids anymore, we don't teach them home economics, like how to bake
basic
like that,
stuff.
Right?
Yeah.
They may learn it or pick it up from watching their friends or friends' parents or whatever. But most of what I learned was in school. Like I learned how to bake a cake in freaking school. Right. I learned how to weld. I learned how to do wood shop. I learned skills that maybe played on an interest I had that other kids didn't.
Right.
I wasn't a football kid, so
Right.
I learned how to weld. So right out of high school, I got a job welding. I made really good money doing that. And then
Gotcha.
that took me into other things, electronics and things like that. If we're not teaching basic human skills, like how to feed yourself, how to bathe yourself, like, I mean, there's actually still massive problem with that. Like,
Right.
that basic hygiene is not taught. But parents now are so outraged about sex ed and all these different things like that. Like, that was a conversation we had. It's still my responsibility as a parent to pay attention to what my kids are ingesting, just like it's my responsibility to look at what I'm reading. You know, if all I'm doing is sitting and watching TV, then I'm going to become a fat lump on the couch.
Right.
I don't want my kids to do that. So I want my kids to be reading. I want my kids to be outside playing. That's the difference in our generations. Like, I was outside all the time.
All the time. No, I was out there.
You know, now the kids go outside and it's 90 degrees and they're like, I'm melting. Yeah, go drink from the hose.
You know, and so I want to touch on this too. So I think, and this is just me talking out loud, like we had the war on terror, right? And
I can tell you, if there's 4 things that have not worked: the war on drugs, the war on terror, the Patriot Act, right? TSA.
Yeah.
That's where.
Well, I feel like after we started this war on terror, like America got super freaking paranoid, and everyone in America got super freaking paranoid.
Well, I think that again is.
You know what I mean? And
so in the founding of our country and early in the United States, rugged individualism was still a thing, because you had more people that were hunting and gathering on their own, right? So you have to understand we're in a completely different space and time than what our founding fathers were as America as a whole, right?
Right, absolutely.
Because you had to hunt, kill, and raise your own food. You had to do that.
Right.
So as technology's taken that away, those skills have been lost. And that taught you something as an individual about rugged individualism.
Right.
You knew what that meant. And this is why I think martial arts is so important now, where other kids are weak, they sit on their phones all day. You still have those kids that are being taught to be rugged, to be individuals, what teamwork actually means. And so this goes against what the government wants to be a nanny state. We want people to turn in a kid for, we had this conversation earlier. If we got a class of high school kids and you got 2 of them that are vaping, the world now wants all these kids to be little snitches. They want them to go, oh, this kid's vaping. Well, it's not your job to worry about that other kid. It's your job to worry about you. We stopped teaching that.
Well,
a long time ago.
And I think that's the absence of the Bible.
Well,
and
I
spiritual
think
teachings.
It's a moral
huge,
thing, right? We want to legislate morality, but we don't want to hold accountability in our own selves to be more moral people.
I feel like it's like we want to scream help, right? Like we scream help, and then they pass a law, and then it comes back and bites us almost every time.
Yeah.
Like it either bites you or bites somebody in your family. Like, so it's like we scream for help, but you're not willing to pay the cost that's coming down.
Right. Well, that's just it. Like, there are consequences for your actions.
All right.
Me smoking only hurts me.
Right.
We've let everybody tell us that, oh, the secondhand smoke too. Yeah, prove it. Like, I still have not seen data that backs up secondhand smoke hurts. I know from experience that my dad, being a smoker, hurt me as a kid, had asthma. Well, guess what happened when I started smoking? I didn't have those kind of problems, but I also quit smoking pretty quickly and went to like other forms of nicotine. So asthma's not a thing for me anymore, but it was still a side effect as a child. So do I think you should be smoking around your kid? No. But do I think we should have a law about it? Hell no.
No.
Because our founders didn't believe that. Like, we as individuals should be taking ownership for that.
And that's what I mean, that by personal responsibility, right? So we take ownership of our own lives, right? We retain our freedom, right? When we don't take responsibility for our own lives, we keep giving away our freedoms.
And that's what sovereignty...
And then we get pissed off that we gave away our freedom, and now we want to cry about it. Yeah. But it's like, bro, stop screaming for help and take responsibility.
Well, see, the thing is, though, people need to understand, you need to be responsible for yourself, but you really are, in a way, your brother's keeper.
Absolutely.
Because you should be looking out for your brother and sister in a way that's not morally judgmental, but physically protective, emotionally protective, which is all biblical too. But the Bible aside, us as human beings are not good people naturally.
No,
If you put, there's a great experiment where they put a bunch of mice into a freaking container, and after a few weeks, like ultimately the strongest ones survived and all the other ones are dead. Humans are the same way. We've got historical references of this. When you get dominant people together who become corrupt and with power, they start killing people.
Right.
Communism's a great example of that, and historically that goes back
Right.
centuries. What we need to do today to take personal responsibility is understand what being a sovereign individual means. It means I don't answer to a king.
Right.
You know, a lot of people are afraid of Trump being a king. I'm not. Because guess what? I believe in our founding, and I understand what there's nuance that people aren't taught today. Civics is not taught. I was taught civics, but I was taught civics by people that had survived war, like my grandfather, my great uncle, you know, people that had seen firsthand what death and destruction actually looks like. And so I was taught you should value these aspects of your life, and freedom and personal responsibility lead to liberty.
Right.
If I want to let the government take something and handle something for me, I'm no longer free. I've sacrificed my liberty for security, and we were warned by the founding fathers, don't do this, right?
Yeah, don't do it.
So,
and we absolutely did it.
Yeah, and so if you
we continue to do it.
Oh yeah. So if you go back to the recovery aspect of this, only you can fix that.
Right.
And that's one of the great things about going back and making amends where you can, because that lets you right a wrong, or lets you go, hey, I can't actually fix this anymore. I will own it, and I will try my best to never do those things again. Right? That's personal responsibility, and it's personal accountability. And by doing that, you take back a little bit of that sovereignty. You're not giving people power over you emotionally. You know, a lot of people today look at the Bible as a work of fiction, but in reality, it's the greatest book ever written that shows all of these stories. Like, there's really nothing new today there's not a similar story shown, an example shown to us. But when it comes back to real world, everyday Americans, we just celebrated 250 years. But we're on a decline because we've given away that sovereignty.
All of it.
We've given away that personal responsibility.
And I just want to touch on something that I've noticed in the Bible. And I spend about 2-3 hours a day listening to scripture. You know, while I'm at work, I throw my headphones in and I listen. And what I've noticed is that spiritual growth in almost every single aspect requires an action.
Absolutely, it does.
Like a physical action. Not just I love you, God, I'm going to go to church, or you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just going to be this nice, kind person to everybody. But like, it literally, even prayer requires an action.
Well, yeah.
Because there has to be a belief in that prayer that it's, you know what I mean?
You're exercising your faith, and that is a conscious effort, right? So a lot of people misconstrue, we are a soul with a body.
Right.
Well, if we weren't, the Bible would be inaccurate, right? So the Bible tells us that we have a soul, and we have a physical, and one day this physical body dies. What happens to your soul is up to you and how you've taken actions in your faith, things like that,
responsibility.
Right? So if I'm not treating my body as a temple, which obviously I haven't always, but if I'm learning a skill like martial arts, I'm actually training my body
to do something.
I'm taking care of myself a little differently, because I can't eat cupcakes and ding dongs and Oreos all day long and go train jujitsu.
Oh my God,
You're
bro.
not going to survive a 5-minute round doing that.
If you go to the Drunken Oyster, I'm going to do a shout out to the Drunken Oyster real quick, man. Y'all go to Drunken Oyster, y'all got to get that chocolate explosion.
Bro, why'd you say that?
It's ridiculous.
Man.
Ridiculous. 7 layers of chocolate on ice cream and fudge.
Shut up, Sean.
It's amazing.
Okay, so I am not partaking in sugar.
Yeah, I'm trying
for a while, right?
Every time I watch it,
that would be a weakness of mine, and that it goes back to discipline.
Oh yeah,
and personal responsibility. I can just say no.
Yeah.
And I think, like not drinking anymore is not a problem. Um,
Well,
I can have one when I want one, not when I feel I need one. And I've had many of those days, even as a believer in Christ. I still have days where I'm like, man, I just want a freaking beer. But you know what? I don't go get one because that's discipline in me to say, hey, I don't need that anymore.
well, I think that's where critics criticize recovery, because you got half the field saying it's a moral dilemma and the other half saying it's a disease, right? I would tell you it's both.
I think it is both. I think it's a
both,
combination of both.
right? But so are probably 85% of diseases that we contract as human beings.
Well,
Whether it's some sort of cancer, you sat out in the sun too long, that's a moral dilemma. Or, you know what I'm saying? Ate the wrong food your whole life, that's a moral dilemma. Diabetes, you ate too much sugar, that's a moral dilemma. Like a lot of the diseases that we have start off as moral dilemmas
and
that
here's
we
the
just
thing.
don't put in check.
Here's the thing that a lot of people that are Bible based feel, right? Is the dilemma is that Jesus died on the cross for our sins, and by doing that, we no longer have to obey the old Levitical laws of what we eat, the dietary restrictions. But what we're finding out through study and an actual real world application of those diet plans, or what you can and can't eat, guess what we do? We see people that do that today, and they are extremely healthy. They live very long.
I mean, I can tell you from personal experience, we make the best bacon in the world.
Man, I'm telling
and
you.
it's turning into a moral dilemma.
It is a moral dilemma. But that again
Absolutely.
goes back to it's a personal choice. And so what I eat or drink is still on me.
Right.
And we've got several friends that have quit drinking, and I just don't drink around them. It has no impact on me whatsoever if I don't have a drink with them, and I will try not to drink in front of them because I don't want to be a hindrance to their recovery or where they're at, right?
Right.
And that's also biblical. But day in and day out, it's not my job to worry about you. I'm going to worry about you because I care about you, right? But ultimately, the only thing you're going to do that hurts me is do something stupid that ends your life, like get in a car. That's going to hurt me because you're no longer going to be here, right?
Well, I think as long as someone's moving forward,
right,
whatever that forward looks like, right? And as in a multi-pathway approach to recovery, some people choose absolute abstinence. Some people want to taper off. They
moderation.
Moderation. They want to wing it off. And with some of those heavier drugs like heroin, fentanyl, methadone, like I completely understand. I've been in those shoes, right? So I completely understand like not wanting to cold turkey, because I cold turkeyed it and that sucked.
Oh yeah,
that sucked for like a solid year. Sucked.
Well, I think that's there's certain aspects of that people don't think about,
Right.
because the average person doesn't think about how bad that addiction actually is.
I died twice,
bro. You probably
getting sober.
You probably died more than that.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I died. I had one bad overdose on fentanyl in an active addiction. Now, granted, a lot of bad things happened, but I had one bad overdose where I actually coded out, right? I actually died twice in sobriety from the withdrawal. You know what I mean? So I died. It was harder for me being sober, like, because when I was in addiction, bro, like I could move, I could still do things. When I got sober, I shriveled up to nothing. I couldn't walk. I couldn't bathe myself. I couldn't stand up long enough to cook my meals. You know what I'm saying? Like I was having to be like for a solid year, this was going on. Like, and I remember just laying in bed and being like, bro, I got sober for this? Like, this is what I got sober for?
Yeah.
So I could be a vegetable in a bed and can't do nothing?
So
like, people don't understand that withdrawal is horrible.
That goes back to what I was saying about you then have to have a mission, right?
Have to, man.
Because if you don't have a purpose, if you don't know your why, then the people that don't know their why, they tend to give up and either fall back into that active addiction, or they end up killing themselves.
Well, I think that immediate withdrawal, bro, that's when it's really huge for a support system. Like if I didn't have the support that I had,
even
like
with us around you, we were still worried about you.
It was tough, bro. Like mentally, and I would say the physical part of it was really bad. But man, it was the anxiety part.
But think about what you built from that.
Sucked.
You built a discipline that can endure that anxiety, and that's the part a lot of people aren't seeing. Is that it may suck today. I got a text from a buddy of mine in Canada, right? And I said, bro, we we do hard things today because tomorrow it's going to suck less. And that's the part we don't see. We don't see that short-term misery today
Right.
is going to reap massive rewards later.
Massive rewards.
Massive rewards. And you're a great example of that, right? Because for a year, you couldn't get a freaking job. You hung out with us and helped us around here.
Like, bro, like my first 3 years sucked.
And
it was 3 whole years, like sucked.
And things just changed overnight because you built that discipline, you built a plan, you executed that plan, and some days it goes off the rails. That's one of my favorite clips from a movie is when he's talking about, there's 3 steps to a plan. We're gonna create the plan, and execute the plan, and the plan goes off the rails, and we throw away the plan.
Throw away the plan, just keep going.
Because it's not up to me how things end up resulting unless they involve me. So you and I can go work out right now after the show. We can go throw some weight around, and the results come to me, not to you. If you see me out there squatting 400 pounds, you're going to be excited for me, but I'm the one who can squat 400 pounds. Right. You don't just get that magically, right? Right. I wish that's how it happened.
No, but there is some things that I have noticed, like when it comes to like your support systems and the people you choose to keep around you, sometimes other people's efforts can absolutely bless you.
Dude, I would tell you the biggest thing for me is a whiny quitter. I hate a whiny quitter. I hate people that like throw their hands up. I'm done, and they make all this fucking drama. And I was trying not to drop the F-bomb really hard, but they make all this drama, and then they quietly go away. The drama doesn't last. There's going to be, and you're going to encounter those people, but I hate those kinds of people because I recognize them, but I give them the benefit of the doubt. And that's something that I got to work on, right? But you should always give people the benefit of the doubt.
Well, I mean,
because
think about
some people don't know what they don't know.
American culture, like we mold victims.
Oh my gosh.
Like with the need to expose the world today, like catch yourself on a bad Tuesday, you're a victim. Because it just depends on what you open up Facebook to. Somebody might be getting at you.
Or you end up on shots of Randall County. Or,
you know what I'm saying? Like we absolutely create these victim mentalities. And I've seen how they get molded. That's why I'm not a supporter of Randall County mugshots, right? Because it absolutely does create victims. I've seen what it does to people in real life, not just the horrible comments.
So what it is
I've seen people lose jobs.
People that have never read The Scarlet Letter. Right? It's a great book. I think every kid needs to read it because it teaches you that embarrassment works as a tool in a way, but it's not a long-term solution for the moral dilemmas.
It's a Band-Aid.
That happen.
It's a Band-Aid solution.
It still goes back to personal responsibility and being taught the things you need to know. And so I've had tons of arguments. I was involved in politics for a long time, and I learned very quickly how to calm somebody down when they're having a political argument. Just agree with them. No, you're absolutely right. Because in reality, we see all these things on social media, but it's all fake. You and I disagree on certain things politically, but ultimately we agree on 98%.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. Like I'm trying to get into politics. Like there's a lot that pisses me off, and it's as I'm learning, I'm having more grace for politics and less grace for human beings.
But the thing is, too, you understand that the culture today affects politics.
It does. And it took me a while. It took me a while to see that.
Yeah, because you're in the trenches, seeing where funding's been cut for recovery programs. You're seeing how that political
we
realm.
Use these Band-Aid solutions, right? Where we say we want to give people a sense of community, and then we introduce them to our penal system, and then we put them in the. And it's like,
the worst thing we can do to anybody is subject them to a call or interaction with law enforcement. And the reason why I say that, law enforcement is not inherently bad, but there are some bad cops, and there are really, really bad laws. But we don't teach civics, so people don't know how to go get those laws changed. If you look at, there's a great organization called Right on Crime. Right on Crime is something that I believe in. I believe in that organization, but they've again lost funding, things like that happen. But ultimately they're looking at, does the punishment fit the crime? And 99% of the time it does not. Either it's not severe enough and people bitch about that, or it's overly severe and we put young kids into the system because they had a vape. Like this kid's got a record and going to juvie. Well, guess what? You just introduce him to a whole different world and a whole different layer of mess. World. And then if you have young adults in their 20s, one mistake of having a beer or, you know, say they're out, they're drinking. Right. This is why my daughter drives and doesn't drink a whole lot. When she does, she stays her ass put.
Yeah.
Because she knows if she starts drinking and driving and she's on her way home, she doesn't have to get in an accident for her life to be ruined. Her life can be ruined by somebody else who was driving and driving drunk. But does that mean we need to punish every kid who's ever got a minor in possession? No. I think a minor in possession, yes, it should be a wake-up call to a kid, but I don't think that should be a felony on their record forever.
And well, let's be real. Like in today's world, we keep the arrests on the record just like we keep the convictions on the record.
Yeah.
So to even today, I still get questioned.
That's a political
like
tool,
it's
bro.
not. It's so we have this thought. Well, it wasn't a conviction. It doesn't go on your record. Yes, it absolutely does.
Yeah,
and you will absolutely be questioned about it
because they recognize certain behaviors and they go, "Well, this is something we need to watch out for." Right. So if you've ever aggravated assaulted anybody, whether law enforcement or just an ag assault on anybody, that will forever stay with you because so many things are termed ag assault.
Yeah.
But here's what's even funnier. Like, I know you don't like these pages, but one of the bad driver groups, right? There was actually an altercation yesterday in our town where a driver, road rage incident, gets out of his car with a machete. That is aggravated assault.
Okay.
Even though the other driver was in his car, that is aggravated assault. Because he
pulled out
a weapon.
Yeah, he had a weapon.
And he was going to assault him. That second driver, goes around him, right? I watched the video, and I happen to know the kid, right? So I'm listening to his story. Cops didn't arrest that guy for aggravated assault. They didn't arrest the guy for theft because he stole something out of the other guy's car. Didn't do anything. So cops didn't do nothing. But why is that, right? That's my question as a free thinking, and I want to know why he didn't do that. But at the same time, I know why he didn't do it. Because that guy was an illegal immigrant. They were never going to be able to charge him with anything. If he got out on bond, guy's vanished, right? There's pros and cons to that. But how we get around things like that is we teach people don't go road raging.
Well, and we just expect people to know these things. And when we talk about Band-Aid solutions, I'm not one for Band-Aid solutions.
No, I want
Band-Aid solutions really piss me off, right? It's that solution that says, okay, I'm going to do this for 6 months and clean up my life for 6 months. But in 2 years from now, or 6 months, when we'll just use jail. We'll use jail as the classic. So you send somebody in for something really minor. Like I can tell you do not want your child or any young adult learning personal responsibility from 80 convicted criminals.
Correct.
Like murderers, rapists, pedophiles, like drug dealers. You do not want them getting their
responsible enough to never go to jail.
You know what I'm saying? But here's what we do, right? We put them in jail and we put them with these people and they learn all these habits, right? Yep. So what we do is we clean the streets for 6 months. And then when that kid's released, not only does he have a criminal record to make it harder for him to get a job, but now he's an absolute nightmare.
I got to keep up my nicotine addiction.
Yeah, he's an absolute monster. Right?
But you're absolutely right.
Because we put him there.
So that it goes back to what is the long-term solution? It is
personal responsibility.
Personal responsibility, but how do you teach personal responsibility? If a parent doesn't know how to teach their kid
that was my question. Should we be teaching, should there, like, because I feel like yes.
You want to know where I and I started to say this earlier. You want to know what the solution to this is? It's martial arts. It's sports. It is these things that we take for granted like football here in Texas is massive, right?
Yeah.
But the kids in those sports are not the ones going out and committing the crimes. We need to be more inclusive. And this is why I think the LGBT community totally missed the point on inclusivity, right? Because inclusion should be for everybody.
Right.
And some people in groups want to say, oh, well, you're not inclusive. Well, you don't even know what the term means, right?
Bro, that's everyone, though.
It's everybody. Like, no, you're right. But I'm saying
out.
There's certain groups of people that grab onto that and they run with it, and it's like, you just ruin this for everybody
Because
because you want a nanny state to take care of this. But the solution is martial arts, sports, team activities. You build a culture. That community changes because of the culture. Some of the best kids I know live in the shittiest neighborhood, but they're the best kids I know. And you want to know why? Because they're in sports. They're good human beings.
Yeah.
They may not even have both parents, but they've got that group of friends that all have a common goal. They all have a mission to be the best football team, the best football players. They want to go on to be NFL stars. They want to go on to be NBA players. But guess what? It's a small fraction that get to do that. But all those kids on that journey maintain a healthy view of how to interact with other people.
Well, I think you could even bust that down to moral constructs, right, of the brain. What do personal boundaries look like? I think we need to teach simple, basic classes like this.
We do.
Like, people don't understand.
Home economics would teach you
boundaries,
that
values.
Yep.
Let's talk about what was the other one I was going to say? Mutuality, right? If you want to, like, our sense of community is so misconstrued and flawed, right? We don't teach mutuality. How I should benefit you and you should benefit me, and how we should build each other, right?
Well,
So
the other thing is, though, you go too far.
Relationship dynamics.
You go too far on the mutual benefit thing, and you become a socialist, right?
Somewhat.
It happens, and we have.
I do get that.
But I think for our communities, especially here, we look at what programs are available for kids, and how many kids can't get into some of these programs because of a lack of funding, because of a lack of awareness that they even exist.
Yep.
You look at special needs kids, right? There's a lot of parents in this town with special needs kids. There are different organizations that serve the needs of those families, and they've created sports programs for these kids. Well, why are we not giving back to our community and having summer sports programs for all these kids that can't be on the football team at Paladuro?
Well, we saw...
Like, we don't have programs for kids to go out and do like they used to.
Well, they don't get support.
Correct, they don't.
They don't get the support. And we saw that last year with the, was it the huddle? Right? Yeah. Y'all went out there filming the huddle, and you're always coming back talking about how there was no parents at the games.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't think that's generally because there's a bunch of lazy parents out there. Right? I think it's the economics of the town. And you know,
this is how politics affects us. When politics are involved, the economy is good or bad.
Right.
If the economy's bad, parents are working double time, man.
And I feel that's where we're at.
I know parents that are well off that are still working 2 shifts or have 2 jobs.
Right.
Like, I know middle class families that can't afford to keep food on the table if they don't have a second realm of income.
There was actually, in the state of Texas, I saw this interesting statistic. 1 out of 5 families cannot afford to feed their household.
Yeah.
It's 1 out of 5.
So you know what? The other thing that really bugs me is, like, in our town, they closed up some of the pools.
Parks are completely locked down.
Well, in parks, they're not even maintaining parks like they did before. And so we're putting our focus on the wrong things. Mm-hmm. Again, that is a culture problem.
It is. It absolutely is.
And a lack of leadership. So when it comes to personal responsibility, and this is why I've joined a group called the Operator Standard. I have a set of standards that I am trying to live by every day to make myself and my community better, our business better. Like, we have set priorities and we don't waver on them.
Right.
There's no falling back. I've now set the bar up here, and I'm going to freaking hit that, or I'm going to die trying.
And then you got to reset it.
This is how, right? And then that bar moves higher, right?
Yeah, you got to
reach that bar.
You got to reset it.
That is part of the standard. That should be the personal response. Personal excellence is the greatest rebellion.
Right.
I've said that a million times. Andy Frisella uses that as his thing, but I believe that my whole life. Me being personally excellent is the greatest rebellion, because what is the best way to show somebody or tell somebody F you without saying F you? It's to exceed their expectations and their limiting beliefs on you. And that's how we solve this problem is we create a series of standards. We create businesses and groups that believe in these standards, and they share those standards with our community. And it starts with us as individuals.
It always goes back to you.
It's always personal responsibility.
It always comes back to the person.
So our friend Shanna works for Andrea's project.
Right.
It's anti-drunk driving campaign, right? That project is in honor of a young lady who lost her life.
Right.
Because
and let's just be real, like drunk driving can be 100% avoided.
Absolutely 100% avoidable.
100%.
And how do we do that? Well, we have these groups and we do community events. We do things like that. And we teach the people, hey, there's an alternative to what you had.
Right.
20 years ago, bro, we didn't have Uber. It was our dumb butts were driving home after 4 or 5 beers and got lucky.
Well, you'd be amazed how many grown adults I work with that when I tell them, like, when we talk about boundaries, and I'm like, look, people, places, things. And it's the one thing that everybody's heard, whether you're in recovery or not, you've heard people, places, things.
Yep.
Probably heard it in elementary school at one point, right? And it's like, people do not understand your associations can get you wrecked.
Absolutely.
Just as fast as you.
Absolutely.
If not worse.
I got arrested.
If not worse.
Being a passenger in a vehicle, I got arrested. And I got made the example because I was the only one who was 21. They made an example out of me.
Yeah. Like, it just happens that way,
Didn't do any
bro.
good. Like, I still kept, I'm like, I'm still going to do what I want.
You know, so I always tell people, man, you don't have to pull the trigger.
You don't.
It could be the person next to you
got to be in that car.
pulls the trigger and you're murdered by association.
Guilty by association.
Guilty by association just because you were present. And when I tell people that, they give me this dumbfounded look like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like.
Well, and
I guess it took me a long time to learn that one too.
So
but
personal responsibility, like what standards do you set? Like you and I both have standards of what we do. So like creating this content is all off the cuff because you and I have had these conversations before.
Yeah.
You know where I stand on personal responsibility. Yeah. If my life is jacked up, guess whose fault it is? It's mine.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is nobody else's.
Well, and that's the whole part about recovery. So you've been able to use recovery tools.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I've learned some from you. I've learned coping mechanisms I didn't know even existed because I've listened to you.
But there are people who just naturally grasp life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They say, no, I don't want to be a part of that. And then there's other people that like,
hey, I got to learn the hard way.
They don't have that cognitive thinking, that higher standard of living because maybe it wasn't taught to them at a younger age.
They're not taught. What
I'm saying? Like
that's
to not have standards.
The root of this problem is a lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
And who can fix your lack of knowledge? Nobody but you.
Right.
I mean, I can try to teach you something, but you're not going to learn it until you run into those experiences. And we'll use that politics saying, right? Until you started seeing how that really does matter. Now it clicks with you. And I just had to mention it a few times, and now you see it.
Well, I had to come to this conclusion because I really relate everything to recovery. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I relate everything to recovery.
It does.
In some form or fashion, because it all goes, again, back to personal responsibility, right? Taking ownership, making your amends, changing your life. We always talked in the rooms about higher power and God, right? And 98% of that, they will say, my higher power is God. Right. And I really had to separate the two. So, and the reason is I God's in everything. Like God's there. And this is just something that I had to play in my head to make sense of it, because a lot of people lean on God, but they don't take an action.
So here's the thing.
There's no action.
When I say personal responsibility, that also means personal relationship with God.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
have to understand that it's all about you and how you function under what God has given you.
And a higher power, I just view as something greater than me. So when I came into the studio and I was learning content creation, at some point, you were my higher power teaching me content creation.
I was, but I also gave you free will to go, I really don't want to do that.
Now, I'm not worshiping you.
No.
You know, like I do God, right? But you are an absolute higher power because you were something I learned wisdom from.
Right. I had knowledge and I shared it freely with you, right? And that is the thing. We should be giving of ourselves back to our community. So when I take personal responsibility, that means I put my freaking card up. If I see trash on the sidewalk, I pick it up.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, it may be an inconvenience to carry a paper plate because I did this on my walk. not too long ago, I friggin' paper plate blowing down the damn sidewalk, and I picked it up and I carried it a mile around where I was walking to the dumpster.
Right.
That made me feel good.
Right.
Nobody saw me do that, but guess what? I did it. And now I get to talk about it because the reason why it matters is it's personal responsibility. I saw something was wrong and I took action.
Right.
And that is what it really is about. I take responsibility and I take action in my own life. And that, by in turn, my knowledge and wisdom I've gained over the years was imparted on you through daily action and working together, going through things. And that brought other people along as well. Sammy's learning how to do this.
It's action after action after action.
And that's what it means is I've disciplined myself to do a task every day, whether or not I want to do it.
Yo,
that discipline sucks, bro.
I get up in the morning and I post videos and I come back and I post videos 4 hours later. You know, like I'll be a video posting fool.
You are, but the great thing is your message is consistent. And you're showing the discipline you've learned in recovery by doing that. Other people see your content and they go, you know, one day maybe I could do that too. And
I'm seeing, like, believe it or not, like I'm seeing people starting to sprout out, and I'm like,
well,
go get it.
One of the things that I really enjoy too, right? In our business, we make commercials and ads for people, and sometimes I'll just do something as a goof, and then guess what? A week or two later, I'll see somebody else is duplicating what I did, and it's like, hey, wait a minute. That was our idea.
Yeah.
We came up with that. I'm grateful that you're paying attention because you have no greater fan than your haters who watch every move you do.
I mean,
and that is the best FU. This is the best personal responsibility is the greatest rebellion because I get to tell everybody FU by being successful in what I do, being disciplined. I'm disciplined. I don't got to worry about anybody else but me.
Basing my life off of other people's expectations, like I will almost always be unsatisfied with that result.
And you should strive to get better
because my expectations will not meet your expectations. Almost never. Because
but the other thing is too, when I'm taking personal responsibility for me, I can hold you accountable to the expectations you shared with me. But outside of that, bro,
you know what I'm saying?
I'm just watching out for you.
But typically we don't. Well, people in the world don't.
They don't.
Right? They have this expectation in their mind that they want to hold somebody else to, and that person doesn't meet that expectation.
Well, and again, that goes
now I want to feel raw about it.
That goes back to that victim mentality and then the fact that people are not inherently good. And I don't believe until you know Jesus Christ as your Savior, you can be good at all. I think you can do morally right things, but you're not right with God. You're not right with anybody else. And I've got a dozen examples of where I have been wrong with other people because I wasn't right with God.
Right.
But I've also got those examples to live by to where I've created a discipline. I no longer do those bad things. Right. Whether it's moral to somebody else or not is irrelevant. Right. It's like other people drinking. I don't care. Like, it does not make me upset.
No, it doesn't bother me at all.
If somebody at the table is not drinking, I'm not going to sit there and go, why aren't you drinking? You don't like us? You don't want to hang out with us? We're not cool enough? You can drink with us? I'm like, no, because I've had that said to me. Like, my not drinking has nothing to do with anybody else. It's me. Yeah. And if you don't like it, tough shit. Like, I'm going to sit here, eat my dinner, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes it does create a little awkwardness. Sometimes.
Well, sometimes I just don't go around it.
But then that's usually like when I don't show up. Yeah. Like when I'm like, yeah, they're just gonna be doing a bunch of foolery.
And see, so people have these expectations in their mind, but they never vocalize them. And then when they vocalize them, they do it in an arrogant or snappy or judgmental way. So I'll use personal experience, right? I have responsibilities as a black belt in judo to teach other people. Right? If I skip judo for hanging out with somebody and I'm not working out, I'm not being disciplined in what I've agreed. I made that personal agreement, right?
You're not disciplined in your discipline.
Right. It's different if I'm sitting out because I'm injured. That's happened a time or two. Or it's different if I'm sitting and I'm working on something with my wife or my kids. Yeah. That's completely different if I put those obligations to the side temporarily. But I always go back to it. But I'm not going to take that responsibility lightly.
Right.
So if I get up every day and I'm going to drink a 20-ounce bottle of water when I get out of bed, that better be the first thing I freaking focus on because I made that agreement. And I think the 4 Agreements is a book I loaned you. So you're making agreements with yourself more than anything. So when you're becoming disciplined, you're telling yourself, I'm going to do this. And when you don't, you've mentally told yourself I'm not worthy of where I want to get to.
Yeah.
So when I set that bar high, other people, I'm not going to allow them to make me miss that mark.
Right.
Because then it gets back to the biblical sense of what a sin really is. It means missing the mark.
Right.
I've sinned against myself if I don't hit that goal.
No.
Now, that goal may be 6 months away, but every action I take today moves me either closer or away from that goal. And so my personal experience has been, I don't care whose feelings get hurt because I'm sticking to my values and my discipline.
No.
Unless I've physically hurt somebody. Emotional damage, I don't care about.
No.
Because your emotional damage is not my responsibility either. It's how you perceive that situation. So now, should I go out of my way to cause you physical, emotional damage? No. But it's quite easy for us to do that. And as a parent, it's really easy for me to yell at my kid and make my kid bring my kid down a notch.
Yeah.
So as a parent, I try not to do that.
Right.
My parents don't do that. My parents are like, there's always a negative connotation to anything I do because they don't understand the goals. They don't understand the discipline it actually takes for me to reach those goals.
Right.
Not my job to explain it to them. It's my job to keep working towards that goal.
Right.
So in recovery, whether I'm in the room, because I've been to a few rooms and celebrated people hitting milestones, and I've been in those rooms with people that needed to be there because they're at rock bottom.
Yeah.
My job is not to be judgmental. My job is to be there and be supportive. Even if I don't believe them, I've gone to those rooms and been supportive of people that aren't meeting my expectations of where they should be because I know they're trying as hard as they can to get to that level.
Yeah, I'm that type of person, bro.
That's why judgment is important. And my personal responsibility is how I judge others. I shouldn't be judging them at all. If I take the measuring stick of how God judges me compared to what other people do, I need to worry about me. I can't worry about other people.
Oh, Ben Owens, he posted a thing the other day. He said, when you get to heaven, God's not going to ask you about my sins.
Nope.
To worry about your own.
He ain't.
You know what I'm saying? So, but it's just so true. You know what I mean? And I look at how we break each other down. Well,
oh, dude, we could crush each other all day long
horrible.
with snide comments. That's the one thing I love about being here, right? We'll give each other a hard time, but at the end of the day, we love you and we want to see you be successful.
I mean, I've gotten to the point as a content creator where I really don't get on social media.
Dude, I
post videos and I track my analytics, but like I don't do a whole bunch of doom scrolling.
When I get on there,
more.
I start to get mad again, and I'm like, wait a minute, why am I letting anybody have this space? I got a goal, and none of this feeds into my goal.
None of it.
Like 4th of July, we didn't do our normal big blowout that we do. We just didn't.
Yeah.
And I wasn't on social media at all.
I
was working on project roadmaps for things that we've got going on, big projects we've got coming.
Right.
Like I'm working on that. Jake and I were working on server stuff. Like we've got a big plan and some really awesome things coming down the pipe. We don't have to talk about them until we do them. Because then that's the biggest FU to everybody that doesn't believe in what we're doing is we can say, oh yeah, but we got this now. That we didn't have 6 months ago.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't need everybody to believe in me. I got to believe in me. And if I'm knocking myself down a peg because I'm not meeting my own expectations or setting my own goals, same thing happens in recovery, bro. It's like, it's so easy to pick up a needle or pick up a bottle.
Just make a bad choice, really.
Yeah, and,
you know.
And one bad choice doesn't set you all the way back to zero.
And that's what they feel like
we tell
I'll
them
be honestly, like in the rooms, they want you to go all the way back to zero.
They tell you that because they may be struggling with that part of themselves where they realize, oh, I'm not at the bottom anymore. I've made it up that ladder. I just fell down a couple rungs. We get in that mentality where we're such a victim. I got to go back to zero. No, I don't.
Well,
Sometimes I took 3 steps back.
I think a lot of people will blow it way out of proportion.
They absolutely do.
So I've seen people
because I think it makes them feel better about it.
Bro, I've seen people in the rooms like somebody come in and relapse, and I mean just a sponsor or an old head just go in hard on them. Yelling at them
do that.
and just like, bro, you're gonna kill yourself, you're gonna die, and da 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 da. And I'm looking at them, I'm like, so when they come sit with me, and I'm like, check it out, bro. Like, so you relapsed, it's cool. I'm not gonna bang you up, but there's 2 things we're gonna look at. We're gonna look at your boundaries, and we're gonna look at your accountability.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: if you got tough boundaries and you got 100% self accountability, it won't happen again. Yep. So those are the 2 things that we need to look at. where you went, who you were with, what you were doing, and how am I going to put 100% accountability to fix it?
So
Like, that's it.
And you and I both know enough people that have had a relapse, especially in the last few years. It's like I am not in any position to judge them.
No.
Now, I think
or magnify the problem.
It's not because I understand in the reality of it is they were trying to be 1% better. Just yesterday they failed.
Yeah.
Tomorrow they're going to be 1% better again.
Right.
Right? Or they're going to be 5% better. Like, you can make a small jump. You're not going to be 100% better tomorrow.
No.
Just not going to happen.
No.
That's why I like challenges like 75 hard or, competing in something. Like sports is a great example of you should learn from your failures. And if we're not learning from our failures, then we can't go on to be successful again because we're going to repeat those failures.
Well, it's even in my own recovery, bro. Like, I'm hitting this milestone of not feeling edification so much.
Yeah.
I'm doing a lot of the teaching, and even some of the people that I'm involved with, right, who say they want change, I'm not seeing that change.
Well, my favorite thing is people that want accountability,
don't
want it.
And I'm not really saying it, like, we're just repeating cycles. So I'm really struggling with edification lately, and I think that's just because I've put thousands of man hours and just constant every day hitting the grind on my recovery. So I'm talking about mental health, spiritual health, to where now it's like, okay, what's the next area of life? Because I'm ready to level up again. Like, and I think that's where my mind's always at a level up. Say, so where's my next level up?
So I think
my next level up is with my physical health.
I'm that's exactly what I was going to tell you. Your physical health is your biggest setback. So
I got too happy, bro. Like, when I came into recovery, I was 140 pounds. I jumped on the scale and I'm 235, and I'm like, bro, was loving that bacon too much.
I know the day you walked in here, I was like, look at this scrawny little turd. And now, like, almost a year and a half later. Yeah. So,
bro, I beefed up like 90 pounds in the last year.
And this is why I go back to this so often, and I talk about 75 hard because it's a great challenge.
Yeah.
Not everybody can do it because they're not mentally prepared. But ultimately, when you fix your physical self and your spiritual self, you make that alignment with God again.
Right.
And everything else gets easier. Everything gets easier.
It really does.
From when you first got here and you weren't really aligned with God.
No.
Things were crap. Like, stuff just happened. And then
so many questions.
Guess what? You figured things out. You made those little steps every day, and then all of a sudden, one day, things were like, weight's gone. Like, and this is even before recent events. Like a year ago, you were like, you came in here one day, you were freaking defeated. The next day, he comes in here and he's like, that weight's just gone.
Yeah,
I gave it to God. I'm like, well, okay, Sean.
Yeah,
let's see what else we can give to God. But
bro, it's releasing that control over, or that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I gotta have the answer, or I have to have reconciliation. Like, there's so many people out in the world that like demand reconciliate, that like they want that confrontation so bad so they can get that apology, or they can get whatever that gratification is out of that closure. And I'm looking at them like, is that really what you want? Like, you trying to breathe life into something that's dead, bro. Leave it alone. It's dead. It's dead.
Do you know what the Dunning-Kruger effect is?
People keep telling me about it.
I think I've talked to you about it. I even showed you the graph. So imagine there's two lines. You're on this line that's kind of just sailing up and down every once in a while, and there's this line that's constant. This is the shit you don't know. And sometimes you get a whole boost of knowledge, you're learning a bunch of stuff, and then you still got this gap of where you don't know things.
Yeah.
When you start looking at what you don't know, it means you're growing. And there are so many people that are focused on what they know. They never get past that median point. And I
might be at that point, actually.
Well, no,
that's what I'm saying. The lack of edification, like I feel like there's more to learn, and I just don't have the right people in place to learn it from, and I'm looking for them. And
that's okay, because what you probably need to do is reach out to somebody that's in a higher level of where you're at, right? Because that's what I've done.
Yeah.
I've got a little group of guys that I talk to on my phone. They know kind of what's going on with the business. They know what's going on in my life. They know where I'm at in my martial arts. They know where I'm at in my health journey.
But I want to put this out too. In the meantime, while I'm looking for that, I'm still working on my spiritual growth.
Exactly.
Like I'm still working on other things.
You
And in
have to.
recovery, you get these people, they're like, oh, well, I'm waiting on my driver's license. Bro, let me be real with
I
you.
ain't waiting on nothing.
It's going to take you a good 6 months to get that driver's license in Texas.
Yeah, and I ain't waiting on
Like,
nothing.
you know what I mean? And
I gotta keep moving.
You got to do something.
That is the biggest challenge I think that people have is they get into these groups and they're not challenged to move forward.
They're not.
It's okay. You'll get your license in like 6 months. That's what they
Yeah.
get. You're telling them the truth. Oh, bro, it's like, this is going to be 6 months.
Like,
what are you
bro,
going to do in the meantime?
whoever you're staying with, they're not going to let you just live on their couch 6 months with no job
So
and no
ultimately-
driver's like, bro, you need to get moving.
And
You need to do
ultimately,
something.
that's accountability. That's accountability of things to come. So you're holding them to a standard saying, hey, no, you got to move now.
Because you can't get comfortable.
No.
Can't get comfortable.
Comfort
bro.
is a slow, painful death.
Comfort will get you.
Every time.
You know, and I look at some of the things that, even like when I was in addiction, right? And a friend would say, hey, you come stay a couple of days or you come stay a week. And then after a day or two, I mean, I'm going to be honest, when you're out on the street for months and months and months, you know, that couch feels real good. You know, so you just want to soak it in. And they're like, all right, bro, you got to go. And you're like, damn it. And, you know, it's like, I'd be such an asshole. I get super resentful about it.
Yeah.
Oh, you put me out. Because that comfort was just so, you know what I mean? Like, I was needing that comfort.
Well, I think...
And today, I just view comfort, like you said, a slow, painful death. It's...
So I complete 5 tasks a day.
Yeah.
Right. One's a mental thing for me, a non-negotiable. I have 2 non-negotiable tasks that I complete every
Right.
day. One of them is reading. The other one is reevaluating yesterday. I didn't do this for a long time. I kind of stopped. Now I go back and I look every day. I write a journal entry of what I did yesterday, what I learned, what I could have learned, and I try to look at where I was weak, where I did something, but it wasn't all in. And so you can't go all in on 10 things at once. That's not how we as humans are made. But if you're reading your Bible, if you're reading your personal development books, you're talking to your sponsors and your sponsees, if you're keeping that dialogue open, you're being real and honest with people, you're seeking accountability from other people outside your group, then you're going to open doors that you didn't know are there. And
Right.
yeah, I want to see people come to recovery and go to those rooms as a starting point, but I want to see them pick up a set of standards that move their life and change their trajectory of their life. And they can't do that if they keep the same circle of people that led them back down that
And
path.
the same mindset.
Correct. It's the mindset shift.
It's a mindset
that comes
shift.
from those physical and mental disciplines every day.
Some people
And
think...
it's 5 things. It's not 50. It's 5.
No.
I got 5 tasks, 2 business tasks, 2 personal development, and 1 with my family.
So we talk about a rock bottom, right? And how everybody's got to hit a rock bottom. And I don't believe in that. I think it's, like you said, a simple mindset shift. Some people can flip the switch. Other people's need a, hand crank that bad boy, and it takes them a minute, But I did hear something on a podcast, and it was talking about the spirit of 52. And you're probably going to jam me up because I know I'm going to say this all wrong. It's a biblical thing about how it takes man to change. It takes 140 years for man to develop or man to change, right? But God can do it in 52 days, right? Am I saying that right?
Well,
Am I saying that right?
I mean, you're kind of saying it right, but I mean, ultimately, God can change you overnight.
Right.
Right.
So
That's the cold turkey effect. Is
but
kind of what you're explaining.
What he was doing, he was going into the Bible. It's Eric Thomas. I listen to Eric Thomas like crazy because he breaks the Bible down
If you haven't read UOU, that is a great book.
He breaks the Bible down into personal responsibility. Yep. There is no part of the Bible that does not have a personal responsibility to it. It doesn't take self-action. And like he's beautiful at translating, and him and his Pastor Titus, like they both are that way. And I love listening to him. But he was talking about the spirit of 52 and how God can change your life in 52 days when you start moving differently.
Correct.
For 52 days straight. And your physical
body takes 30 days to build a habit or 28 days to
Right.
build a habit
So
mentally.
that's
right?
what he's talking about. Is that 52 days to build a solid habit, a spiritual change, that mindset
So
shift.
what you're doing is you're taking
action,
your
that daily
mindset
action.
and you're building a new foundation. So
Right.
think of like everything you knew to this point is the basement. You're now building a new foundation at the ground level, and you get to work your way up. So you get to build your own mansion here on earth with the skills and abilities that you acquire.
Yeah.
But you still have a basement. Now
Right.
God's filled that basement up as he lifts you out. He's filled that basement up. So you don't have 10 stories deep anymore. When you give your life over to Christ, you start over at ground level.
Ground level.
And you get to make that choice of how you serve God and how you build. It's no different in life, in business, in religion, in society, in politics, and culture. We all have a basement. Are we locking that door to keep that crap out of our way? Or are we going to go down there and grab something and bring it up here, and then that becomes the new, and then we've had to start over?
Right.
It's kind of a weird metaphor.
No,
but
actually
it
not.
makes-
Like when
it
I had my
makes
God
sense, right?
moment, like God told me, man, build your house the way you want to build it, and you just described it perfectly.
But he gave you the foundation for how to build that,
Right.
and the keys and the tools to build are all there. And you have to surround yourself with people that are at a different level than you,
Right.
right? And so that's kind of difficult in a small town like this because you've got so many people at different levels of recovery. But you now have set yourself up here. You're not putting yourself on a pedestal that you're better than anybody
No.
else when it comes to recovery. But you are showing people you're at a different level because of how you do your show, how you live your life, right? People that I know people that know you, and we talk about you when we're running into each other, and like, man, Sean's like really helped me out with this. Like I'm in a different spot. I love coming on to Sean's show. Like Tyler, running into Tyler like makes me happy because every time I see the dude, he's like, man, Sean's show was great.
You know, me and him get a lot of chance. We get a lot of chances to talk.
But
today,
we
and-
get to handle that mess.
Yeah.
It's not God bringing that crap out of the basement and putting it back in front of
No.
us. That's what repentance is. So you guys can't see it. There's a water bottle on that counter over there, right? If I'm walking towards that water bottle and that's the thing I need to avoid, I got to turn around. I got a mindset shift to go, I don't need that water bottle. I'm going to go back the other way. And that going back the other way doesn't mean I'm going back to old habits. That means I'm changing directions. I'm repenting from the bad behavior that's ahead of me, and I'm going back to the good behavior I was just in. We think it's like this when we repent or we turn around, we're going 500 steps back. It's like that back to zero. I'm not going back to zero. My new zero is here at ground level. If I fail here, guess what? I don't have to go back to the basement. I'm relegated back to maybe ground or the second floor.
Well, that's kind of one of those things. So when I came into, and I think this is the case for a lot of people who get into like peer support and counseling and things like that, right? Who've been there, is they get a hero complex. Like they just want to go out and save the world.
Oh, well,
And I get it.
Everybody develops a hero complex in some form
So
or fashion.
I get it, right? And I got confronted with this question. They're like, bro, do you just have a hero complex? You just want to get out there and try to save everybody? And I was like, no. Like, I'm going to keep it real with you. I'm a firm believer in a butt whooping. Like, you can get one. And sometimes that's the best lesson you can learn.
Absolutely.
Right? My deal is when I gave my life over to Jesus Christ, it was like we had that mutual understanding. He was going to get me. He was going to help me. And in return,
You're going to serve him.
I was going to serve him.
Yep.
Right? And that's my deal. Right. And so I've been I couldn't tell you how many times people have tried to talk me out of going through the things that I'm going through and doing the things that I'm doing. And I'm like, no, bro. Like, you don't understand. God kept his word.
I will tell you right now.
God kept his word, and you're telling me to back out on God? Like, no, that's not happening.
This goes back to like
That
that
ain't
example where my family wanted me to do something that would mean I would have to break my own commitment.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that for family. I'm not doing that for friends. I'm going to do that for the immediate people that have impact in my life, my wife and my kids, because my actions and behaviors mold my children and they strengthen or weaken my relationship with my wife. Everything I do can strengthen or weaken that relationship. She is my support pillar. And when you have that, this is the example of community. When you have, your wife is phenomenal at this. I don't know how she does this. She's like my wife. It blows my mind. you and I are pieces of
She
shit.
puts up with a lot.
And we have some of the best women on the planet, right?
Absolutely.
Because
No.
and that's just it. They recognize that they are our support.
No, absolutely.
And they give us that support unconditionally, even when we don't freaking deserve it, right? But if we took that and applied that in the rooms, if we took that and applied that in how we do business, we would change the culture.
Right.
And so these small businesses and these organizations like Andrea's Project that reach out to the community, they're doing that, but maybe if they looked at their results, they're not doing it in the right way. Sometimes we hitch our horses together with somebody and we're just off the mark a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Andrea's Project. Don't get me wrong, because I love that organization.
No, it's a great program.
I'm just using her as a great example. Like, there are initiatives that I don't agree with what they say, but I agree with the overall premise, right?
Right.
So it's my responsibility as I go share that message that, hey, I share the premise as I see it, but I stay within the framework that they've created.
Yeah.
Because I want people to know, if you're drunk on a holiday and you need a ride, freaking Uber will give you a free ride.
Absolutely.
There are tow companies that will come tow your car to your house and give you a
tow
ride.
truck company was giving a ride the other night.
Like that is something that we don't look for.
No.
And we don't share with people until the day of. Like, and you may not know, and that company may have just decided to do that like 2 days before, right? I don't know. But ultimately, once we know that that's an option, we should be preaching that as an option.
Right.
I know there are people that are out drinking right now. It's like noon, right?
Yeah.
By the time this airs, it'll probably be 2 a.m. or somebody watching this at 2 a.m. It doesn't matter. There's always some other option than going out and doing harm to others, even if it's unintentional. That is a personal responsibility thing.
Right.
If I'm taking that personal responsibility, if I go to the rooms and say, look, you don't have to start over at zero. You're not all the way back at rock bottom. If you screwed up, mistakes happen. Learning from that mistake, like you said, what triggered it? What's your support system look like? Where are your boundaries? Where were they weak?
Yeah.
That applies to everything. It is
really
business. It is life in general. That is my kids. If I set boundaries for my kids, I expect them to meet that. Even though they're young adults, they still respect me enough because I instilled that respect in my understanding of how the world works. Nothing good happens after dark.
You're right. Nothing.
Right? So ultimately, this is the cycle that we can get into, is helping each other and serving each other through our learned and shared experiences.
Yep.
Again, that's setting a standard and saying, hey, you can do this standard too. Here's how I was in the basement at my rock bottom. Yeah. Right. But guess where I'm at? I'm up here now. I've reached a level you never thought. You're at that level you never thought you'd be at. But we could see that in you, bro, where other people didn't, because our view from how God interacts with us has changed my view and how I treat you. So, like,
bro, I'll be honest, like, I don't think I've ever had such a normal life.
And the thing is, normal life is ugly. Yeah, normal life is messy. Things happen.
It may be messy, bro, but like, I have peace.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't have no drama in my life.
Where I do have drama, I
don't.
I tend to either walk away from it, or I recognize that drama is just a reaction to something else, and I let it go. Because I can't control how other people feel. I can't. Now, I can do things that make other people feel sad or happy, angry, whatever, but ultimately, that's me.
Yeah.
I only control my emotions.
Yeah.
And when I'm controlling my emotions, controlling my actions, and I'm serving God and I'm serving other people, guess what? I can't be doing something wrong. One of my favorite things as an interviewer, right, is to ask people questions. I can ask you questions that'll get you riled up and pissed off.
Oh, yeah.
But
just bring Trump up.
But the thing is, though,
all you got to do.
Is that beneficial for the conversation? No. But we in that victim culture, we want to talk about those things because we feel victimized. No, the only victim of you're a victim of yourself more than anything else because of your lack of understanding, lack of application.
Yep.
That's all what it boils down to. Personal responsibility.
Yep. Personal responsibility. It's through and through. And it's the one thing that we all avoid. And it's the one thing I love about recovery, because without recovery, I would have never really learned those tools.
Think about where you're
without
at,
recovery.
Right?
Like there's now I did learn some personal development in college, right? I did learn some personal development through outside support, but without actually embracing recovery, the entirety of recovery, and really grasping what life should look like on a day-to-day basis, like I'd have never got it.
Well, and take a look at where you're at. Like you've written an entire program that reached dozens of people a week while you were teaching that program.
Yeah.
And they wanted you to be there because they saw the differences in the way your structure worked for you that may have been applicable to them.
Yeah.
And that helped people. That is a great service to the recovery community, is how can I make this better?
And it's
a lot of times it's like, oh, we don't want to change program because it works. Well, maybe we need to be changing how we approach one another versus changing the program itself. Because that's really what you did, is you took a different approach on how you're approaching people in recovery.
It's just more personal responsibility and more personal development. Again, you know, I love AA, I love NA, I love those programs. But I have seen our culture shift what the program really means.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's their interpretation.
Yes.
And it's actually changed people. Like I've seen people just sit back and go, well, I'm at God's will on everything. I'm at God's will on everything. And then they just sit there and just like,
and
I gave it to God. I'm not doing nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That doesn't work. And he even tells you that doesn't work.
You know what I'm saying? And so I look at some of these things that we're teaching in these rooms, and I'm like, all right, bro, but where's your action, dog? Like, where's your action at?
My favorite thing to tell somebody
It all comes back to action.
Doing God's will, right? What the Great Commission actually says is we're supposed to go, teach, baptize, and teach, right? This is a religious, the biblical philosophy is we go, tell people about Jesus, we teach them things they don't know.
Right.
We bring them into the fold, which is baptism shows that, hey, I've changed my life. This is the simulation of the death and burial, resurrection of Jesus Christ. And then the last one is the part that we don't want to talk about. We go. We go. It tells you to go. It's not sit on your butt and do nothing. It's go. Go teach, baptize, and teach.
Well, and I'm glad you told me that, because when people say that in
you're going.
When people say that in the rooms, I'm the first one. I'm like, man, that could be kind of dangerous. Like, I'm gonna raise my hand on that one and say that could be kind of dangerous, because if like you're just putting it all on God's will and you ain't gonna do nothing but not gonna get out of that chair, and you got cancer and you're just gonna leave it up to God but not do nothing about it, like God's gonna take you. So
if I'm teaching, that means that I can only teach to the level of my knowledge.
But it's that absence of responsibility in life,
right?
To where I don't want to be accountable. I don't want to deal with it, so I'm just going to put it on God, or I'm going to put it on somebody else.
So I'll go back to martial arts, right? Because this is how it relates to my life now in my 50s as a double black belt in judo. I'm teaching now. I'm responsible. My responsibilities have changed. So yours in recovery, you understood. I've gotten better. Now I got to make other people better.
Yeah.
That is the teaching aspect of the Great Commission. We are supposed to go. Teaching is an action. I still have to go to show someone else what I've learned, how God has changed me, how business works. I still learn all kinds of business things. I got to deal with the Texas comptroller, and like I was freaking out about it. A guy in another state was like, dude, just call him and tell him what's going on.
Just go.
I did it. Yeah. Just take the action. And he's like, and they were like, oh yeah, that's no problem. Just do this, and this.
No.
I'm thinking it was going to be something else. And it was like stupid simple. I fill out one paper and I send it in.
All right, Mike. Well, I think we done ran about an hour and a half today, but I really appreciate you coming on the show and spending the time to, share some of your knowledge with me.
It's always fun.
Yeah, it is. It's always
I
a
get
good time.
very passionate. We could do this for 4 hours.
Yeah. I mean, I love doing the podcast. The podcast has always been a blessing for me. It's probably taught me more. I've probably done more research.
Oh yeah, you were an idiot when I first
met you. And more
you.
Reading into, again, responsibility, personal development, recovery. Like,
dude, your growth is off the charts. People don't understand.
I hate like putting something down in the descriptions and it not be accurate.
Oh, I know.
Or you know what I'm saying? And like, or go back and look at something I did a year ago and be like, ooh, I said that.
Yeah. But guess what, though? You can do that and you learn. And then people call you out about it. That's what I love about the comments.
Yeah.
Like, I can't wait to see the comments be sure to comment.
Yeah.
Because I love it when people come at me, well, you got to let God do. Well, okay, let's have that conversation about what we got to let God do. Because
You know what I'm
I
saying?
can tell you where God says you shouldn't do these three things and you're doing them. Like,
You know.
and my responsibility ends with saying, hey, you shouldn't do those things. You go do them. That's up to you.
I mean, like I said, I really love listening to Eric Thomas, because he's not that heavy reliance on God. He's that obedience to God.
Well, and that's
He's that
that
being
is
a
how
good
you
steward,
show reliance on God as being
stewardship.
obedient.
You know what I mean? And he's real heavy on personal development. And like, it's your responsibility to fix your life. It ain't nobody else's responsibility.
Nope.
Like, it ain't nobody.
Nobody can fix it but me.
And you know, I messed up. As a matter of fact, I messed up a couple weeks ago on a show, and we were talking about prosperity gospel, and I spit it, and I was thinking.
I was in the other room.
No,
and I didn't
he
say
did.
a thing.
I spit it right, and I messed up. I messed up because I was thinking about the podcast I was watching, and he was getting jammed up about prosperity gospel. So
Yeah.
I have to clarify that, right? I'm not about prosperity gospel. I'm about the relationship between personal responsibility and biblical truth.
Actual obedience.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm into. Like, that personal development, that moving forward, and you know, find you a good spiritual leader who can depict that for you.
Somebody that has lived a life longer than 28 years.
And that's what I love.
This planet.
That's what I love about that lived experience, man. Is because not only do we mold this understanding, but like, we mold this understanding in real time.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm not even gonna lie. You get me in the Bible, and I'm looking at something that happened 2,500 years ago, and I'm like, that don't look nothing like what outside look like today.
But if you come,
And I do understand that.
But the great thing is, you recognize if you can come and bring that up to us, we may have that relevant piece of information that makes it make sense.
Right.
And that is why you have to associate with people that are doing what you're trying to do.
Right.
Right. And that goes back to those levels. I want to be up here. I want to have a kick-ass community that involves people like your show, like Unsettled Record, like Where You At. You know, I want these shows to their communities to understand we're reaching out and creating a community of people to make things better.
Right.
We have a set of standards that are all good standards that everybody should be striving for. Some feel unattainable, but it's really just ultimately that personal responsibility and discipline.
All right, brother. Well, we're going to sign off for this week, man. Y'all have a great weekend, man, and take control of your life, man. It's your life. You're responsible for it. Do something about it. Love y'all.
Hey, we could have went a whole nother